Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here in the kitchen with you today. I'm bringing you a recipe that I actually have made before, and I did this a while back, and I don't remember 100% what I did. The video, I'm not sure what happened. I might have a couple pictures I can throw in. I don't know, but I'm hoping to replicate my pretzel dogs. Yeah, I had always wanted to make homemade pretzels. I did it. It was good. The next day, I got so excited over it. I did the recipe again, and I turned them into pretzel dogs, and it was a hit. So I want to do it again, and I want to share it with you all this time. So come on in and let me show you what I'm going to do this time with my Amish Friendship bread. By the way, are you familiar with what I've been doing? There's a couple playlists I'm involved with. One over at Pike Creek Farm, my good friend Renee. She and I started this long time ago, and we started putting recipes there. Then we opened up a collaboration called Friendship Fridays, where we have a playlist on my channel. So make sure you go check those out if you have interest in more Amish Friendship recipes. Let's get started making some pretzel dogs. First off, we're going to start out. I've got my mixing bowl that goes to my stand mixer. It's the KitchenAid that I got from my grandparents. My grandpa used to make tons of cookies, and he loved having his KitchenAid. So I need a cup of the Amish starter. So we'll add that to our bowl. Now that I've got that measured out, I want to get my yeast going. You want to stay under 120 degrees. I'm at 115, so that's probably the max of what I would want to use. You need to get yourself a couple of teaspoons. And I'm going to let this sit on top this warm water. You can choose to mix it in or not. That's up to you. And we're going to let this just kind of bloom. I've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour here. Actually, I've got 3. This is bread flour. I almost forgot. We also need 1/4 of a cup of powdered milk. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle that all over. I need 2 teaspoons of salt. Whoops. And just a teaspoon of oil. I'll use vegetable oil today. The yeast has started to bubble, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in. That tells me that it's a good active yeast. Put the bowl in my mixer. Put the dough hook on. Lock it in place, and I'm going to let this go for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. I'll keep an eye on it. If it doesn't look wet enough, you can add water. If it looks too wet, you can add more flour. Now you want to be careful, because this to me looks like I almost could add a little bit extra water. But if I'm patient, you can see it's now starting to come off of the edge of the bowl. And depending on the humidity in the air, it just really makes a difference on how much liquid or dry you need. And so there's just a tip for you. It could change according to that day's weather. Now that this is done, I'll just kind of knead it a little bit by hand. I always knead my dough a little bit by hand. If nothing else, just to get a feel for the dough. It still feels a little bit sticky. This is good. So next, I'm going to spray my pan. I'm going to spray the dough. And I'm going to cover this for at least an hour, maybe 2. It just depends on the temperature of your house. You know, do you keep it cooler? Is it warmer? I like to let my dough double, but this kind of dough doesn't always do that. So don't be worried if it doesn't. Okay, so it's been a few hours and I've got myself a pot of water. It's got about 10 cups of water in it. And to that I'm going to add, I've got, let's see if you can see that, about a tablespoon of molasses. And then I've got some baking soda. And I'm going to put about a teaspoon of that in that boiling water. So I'm just going to sprinkle the baking soda on there. And then I'm just going to stir in this molasses. And what this does is the molasses will give a nice, oh, I probably got a little too much in there. That's more than what we need. It will give it a nice color. But the baking soda, it's optional, but the baking soda you need in the water. So the plan was to use hot dogs. And, well, I didn't have those, but I found in the freezer one of those huge family-size packages of the mini weenies, the cocktail weenies, whatever you want to call them. And I thought, well, that's not a problem. We will just make bite-sized pretzel dogs. This will be fun. You know I love to try new things. So I have no idea what I'm doing here, because usually I would just cut it into, 8 pieces, but I don't think we'll quite do it like that. And I'll just kind of roll it up. I don't want too much dough on here. Well, there we go. With my full-size hot dogs, I actually put like 3 slices across there. So I kind of think one would be enough, and we might not even, I don't know if we even need to do that all the way through. I'm going to put those on a pan over here. And I'm just going to set and pinch and roll these up. Maybe make a couple. They don't have to be all the way to the hot dog. It's just to kind of give it a little vent. Make sure you save your scraps. We may or may not use all these hot dogs, but my plan is we're going to go ahead and at least partially get these ready. And if I have extra, I can put them in the freezer for another time. Recruited a little help, and we got all of the mini pretzel dogs rolled. And now I have the water just about to boil, and we're going to boil these and bake them. Okay, so we've got our water to boiling. I am going to just carefully drop in some of these, and then we're going to let them be in here like a minute or so. They should start, I'm not sure if they'll float or not. The meat might make it a little too heavy. I just want to make sure I don't overcrowd. Okay, you can see they're starting to float. And once the 1 minute is, make sure they don't stick to the bottom. Once the 1 minute is up, then, oh, there goes the timer. Our 1 minute is up, so I can start pulling these out and moving them back over here. And you can clearly see which ones have and haven't been boiled, because they do kind of bubble up a little bit. Oh, we had a couple stick to the bottom. So you just got to be careful about that part. So give it, if you need to give it a little time to get back up to temperature, you certainly can. And you'll throw another 10 in, or if you're doing full-size hot dogs, you know, 2 or 3 at a time maybe, depending on the size of your pot. Okay, so these have been boiled and the oven is preheating to 400 degrees. And then I have this stuff. It's just a large, let me show you what it looks like. It is a large flaky salt. And I'm going to kind of crush it up just a little bit just because we're working with, you know, the miniatures today. But I got to show you. Some of them, they look like little pyramids. They're really, really cool. I love using this for pretzels and other things. It's a lot of fun to work with. I just ordered off Amazon, but you could use just regular coarse sea salt, would work perfectly fine. And I just try to put a little on each one while they're still wet from having been boiled. And we will bake these, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes in a 400 degree oven. Well, we are halfway through the cooking time. I was turning them and realized I never put an egg wash on. Now, it's not necessary. It just gives a lovely color. You can use just the yolk. You can use just the white. You can use water and yolk. You can use just milk. I'm just using a whole egg today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to real quickly brush this beaten egg on the tops for the last 10 minutes. I would suggest you do yours from the beginning. And here they are. You can see they kind of started to brown. This tray I'm leaving partially cooked because I'm going to put these away and then we'll eat them on another day. And then that way I can put them in the air fryer and they won't be too brown. These look really good. I'm gonna let them set for just a minute to cool and then we'll plate them up. And you can see on the bottoms they're definitely done, so I don't wanna overcook them for sure. But I can tell they're gonna have that chewy, pretzel-y texture that I just love. I could have browned these for just a little bit longer. I actually prefer mine a little more like this one right here. Mini pretzel dogs. That's what's for supper tonight. But it would make a great game day appetizer. I'm kind of glad we didn't have the full-size hot dogs today. Okay, so I switched them over to this pan to cool even more. And I'm going to label this pretzel dogs. And there's 30 of them. There just happens to be. And I'll probably plan to air fry them, depending on the settings, up to 25 minutes, but they're nice and cool now. Normally, I would individually freeze them on a tray, but I know that we're gonna use these right away, so I'm just gonna throw them all in here and hope that they don't stick together. That's the thing about when you freeze things. Sometimes, if you don't freeze them separate, then they ended up sticking together. But even worst case scenario, I can let it thaw out a little bit, separate them, and then air fry them. And then this is just gonna go in the freezer, and we'll probably have them actually later this week. Almost forgot to do a taste test. I'm gonna dip mine in ketchup. It's probably gonna be pretty hot. The dough definitely got chewy, like a pretzel. It's got the salt on it. Really good. I think I would cook it maybe 1 more minute. Other than that, I don't think I'd change a thing. Well, except for putting the egg wash on before you put it in the oven the first time. Guys, learn from my mistakes. Do it right when you do it. And let me know down below if you like this recipe too. Bye for now, friends.